Good morning and welcome. Here we are, live on 42nd Street.
Yay.
My name is David Kilpatrick. I'm the Executive Director here at the Playhouse, and
Ryan Crane, Director of Philanthropy. Good morning.
And what we're going to talk about, because it's a quiet month of May, although it may not feel quiet inside the building. Publicly it's a little quiet, but we just got back from New York City.
Indeed.
And we want to talk about that. So Ryan, this was actually your first theatrical trip to New York City.
It was.
What was it like?
It was. It was my first. I've seen different shows in different, Seattle and different places, but this is my first Broadway shows on actual Broadway. Very exciting. There were about 25 others that went on the trip with us. I think it was 25, and we all had a great time. It was quite the deal. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the Playhouse has been leading these groups for about 30 years.
Yeah.
And we take, sometimes it's back to back, sometimes it's one in the spring and one in the fall. This year there was about a 2-week separation. So
Yep.
just last week we'll be in New York City, and then in 2 weeks we'll be in New York City again.
Yeah.
And
you're 2 for 2.
I'm 2 for 2, yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out. Now, we traditionally like to see 2 plays as a group. So what were
Right.
the 2 plays we saw?
Yeah, so we saw 6, which was very exciting, and it was a great play. I think a lot of people will enjoy it as it tours around the country and in future years. It had that energy to it, which was very cool.
Well, it's about the 6 wives of Henry VIII,
Yeah.
which is done a bit like Hamilton, don't you say?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, there's this great contemporary feel to it, and yet some historical information, but it's a very powerful show, and we really like that one.
That's a good way to characterize it. Yeah, the way that the history is being contemporaneous with, or contemporary rather, with hip hop influences and stuff, and the women, all women of course, because Henry had 6 wives, 6 women, so it had a very kind of cool girl power thing. It was great.
And being a big fan of live music that you
Oh,
are,
yes.
you recognized a lot of musical interludes.
I did.
I can tell you while I was sitting there, I was like, oh, I wish Ryan was next to me and I could whisper, what's that song from? What's that song from?
It was a hoot. It was a hoot.
And then we got to see an Iowa favorite. And there's nothing to compare to Iowa theater than The Music Man. And
That's
tell
right.
us about your experience there.
Yeah, so The Music Man was amazing. The choreography was excellent. You know the story without even knowing that you know the story. I was amazed at how many one-liners and little hums and little ditties I knew from just being an Iowan and seeing Music Man. I think Sutton Foster as Miriam and Hugh Jackman as Harold Hill was super memorable, seeing those 2 superstars on stage. And Robin behind the camera would know that Drew Minard, Drew Minard, dang it, I always do it. Drew Minard was also in the play, and we met him backstage after the show, or the stage door after the show, and he presented us with a signed cast poster from The Music Man, and it was just electric. It blew up our social media for those of you who follow us on Facebook. It was one of the most liked posts we've ever posted. And we are very proud of Drew for his starring turn in The Music Man.
One of the things about Drew was a student here at the Playhouse. He actually, when he was very young, did classes and participated in our theater education programming. And then he got snagged for a national tour of Billy Elliot. And then after that, of course, he said, well, I'm very successful and talented, as he was. And so he said, I'm going to stay in New York City. And so he was in New York City, and then he was going to college, but the Music Man called him up and offered him a role. But he talked about, when he came out and met us, he was so wonderful, just generous, and a little bit shy, which is always fun.
Yeah, that was funny.
But he just said it felt so neat to have people from his hometown visiting and enjoying the show, and he could root for us because we were rooting for him. And
That's
that was
right.
a really, really special time. And he was so generous. Any question we asked him, he didn't hesitate at all to say and talk. And it was so wonderful to share the evening with him. And knowing that we had somebody special on the stage that came out of the Playhouse.
That's
That
right.
was one of those neat things that was
It was
important
huge.
to us.
It was very fun.
So we went to New York City. We do 2 shows as a group. Then we offer a 3rd show where everybody goes and picks anything they want to see.
Right.
Some of us like to shove in yet a 4th show if we can. We do a dinner together if you're inclined. And we spend 4 days. We leave Tuesday morning. We come back Friday night. I mention this because we're going to be doing it again on May 17th. Unfortunately, these are completely sold out. However, it's what we do. And next fall, we'll be doing it again. So I hope you would, if you're interested, email us. Let us know. And says, hey, give me information as soon as you've made a decision about New York City.
Or put it in the comments of this post too if you want
Yeah.
to, and we'll follow up with you.
We will reach out and we will share because we love New York City and we love sharing theater across the country and talking about the Playhouse. Now, I mentioned it's May.
Yes.
So things are just a little on the quiet side from a public standpoint because this is closing weekend of Pippi Longstocking. Only a few seats left. I mean, I don't even know if you can sit side by side. There's that few seats left. But if you're interested, you could try and call the box office and see if anything's going to change, or you could try and show up 30 minutes before and see if you can get a seat if you need to see Pippi Longstocking.
Debbie's phone has been ringing off the hook.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we feel like it's a little quiet because our next public performance is not until June 3rd when we present Calendar Girls.
That's right.
However, that means we still have got rehearsals all over the place. We just cast Matilda, which doesn't open until in July, but we have first rehearsal on Monday. We have our very special production, our co-production with Pyramid Theater Company called Buffalo Women. And this is going to be an original works.
Yes.
And we're doing a workshop version of it for the author and the cast experience. And that's going to start on June 19th.
Yeah.
So there's just so much going on that we're prepping for. But we're also taking advantage of a little bit of quiet here at the Playhouse. At least quiet for those of us that have lots of things to do. We kind of take advantage of a pause.
Yeah.
So we just thank you very much for joining us. It was a great time in New York City. Hopefully you'll get a chance to see it. And always, check us out. There's so much to see and do at the Playhouse. Thanks so much.